Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently, what we think is likely to happen next and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you have not yet joined us in Discord, then you are missing a trick. It's the first place we go to notify everybody of the ins and the outs of everything that is going on in the crypto space. So why not check it out? Linked in the description down below. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. And if you are looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out the Patreon services as well? Linked in the description down below. Okay, let's make a start. Here we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT. This is actually the 1 week chart and Binance is our data source here. Okay, and there's a couple of things here that's probably just worth noting, just a kind of a recap on things that we have spoken about previously. So the first thing to kind of really focus in on, I'm just going to draw another arrow because apparently I haven't got enough of these. This little area here, this is the 2017 all-time high. Okay, this is an area that we've been consolidating all around, specifically on the monthly chart where we only recently closed below this level on a monthly candle. On the weeklies we had closed below it, but not on the monthly. I think that actually happened basically at the end of October, I believe. Yeah, October 31st, we kind of closed down here. So we can kind of see that. Now, what we want to kind of reflect on is not so much the fact that this is the previous all-time high and for the first time in Bitcoin history we had closed below that. It's more that actually this is an area that we were finding as a support area from a close and open position. Not so much wicks, but from an open close on the monthly. And recently we actually found that this little area, this little yellow box over here, was an area of buying pressure. However, we broke this recently and we've retested it back up there as an area of resistance or supply. So we now have this area here of focus, meaning we're likely to get rejected from this area and we're going to come on down, which brings me to the second dashed line down here at $13,970. That is the June 2019 rally. So we had the bear market low point, we rallied up to this particular area. Again, we haven't really retested this, right? We can see here we fell down during the COVID crash, we rallied on up, but we didn't really come back down and test it. So that's the next area of focus for me, 13,970, because this is an area that I think we can potentially maybe wick down a little bit lower than, but close above and could be a strong area for support for us. A retest of something that hasn't been tested for quite some time. Now we can see here as well, if I actually get rid of this, grab another yellow box area. If I draw this in here, you can actually see that this entire range right here between 11,600 approximately and 13,970 is a previous area of resistance that we broke through. So coming back down into this area would be a nice synergy to see it get completed, filled, and then we can move on. The other yellow line and this arrow coming down here is actually the October 2018 area of resistance. Okay, I put this one on here. This is the extreme lows. I'm not expecting us necessarily to come down this low, but it's an interesting area. Okay, so I wanted to kind of draw this on here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this line on. Here we can see that this is an area of resistance where there's people were willing to sell, bringing us down into the bear market low point. We pushed through it, we back tested, turned it into a support, and then rallied. Obviously, COVID crash pulled us down briefly. So this one I do think is filled, but if we are to come down this low, then this is going to be an area that we're probably going to find a reasonable amount of demand as well. Okay, so I'm going to leave those on there just for reference in the future of these videos. But to help us understand just, where we currently are sat with these things. So I'm just going to draw these across so we can have a good, pay close attention to where these currently are. You can kind of see how we're kind of in this range. Okay, so that's kind of the weekly chart, right? We have a lot of interesting kind of things. Now, the other thing I do want to throw on to this is actually going to be taking a look at where the liquidity sits. Okay, so if I actually come over to my indicators here, I'm just going to go HTF liquidity. I do not have this on my, sure it was it's HTF, that's why. HTF liquidity. Throw that on here. So here we can see where the liquidity sits as well, right? And we can see that there's a reasonable amount to the upside, okay? Lots of people shorting the market specifically from these high points. And you can also see, where the long positions are going to get liquidated as well as the short positions getting liquidated. And you can see that we're right on top of all of this liquidity right in here. And our little yellow box area only has this couple of blobs in it, right? And we're talking around the $12,000 and $13,000 levels. If we lose that, then there's a lot of liquidity to be grabbed as we enter back down into this low range here as well. Okay, so we've got to start thinking about these. Basically, when the price comes down and takes this liquidity, these are effectively buy orders. So we want to be thinking that the price could react to any of these. So just kind of keep that in mind. We need to know where that liquidity sits so that we can be better prepared for what happens if price does hit them. So as we kind of come down here, we're going to kind of want to see how this kind of price reacts to these areas. Okay, so I wanted to kind of just cover that off quickly there before we kind of move on. So on that note, let's come down into our that's the 4 hourly. Let's come down into the hourly and take a look at this, right? So we completed our 5th wave movement to the upside. I'm going to just remove that little one there so we can just focus in on this yellow box area. So we had 5 waves up, which was, in my opinion, a part of a 335 corrective structure, big ABC structure, which actually falls inside our little wave B area here. And now we're getting rejected. Okay, and the next stop obviously is a demand zone. And following on from what I was saying yesterday, I was actually expecting a bit of a bounce before we fell down, but we just haven't seen it. We saw a reset right in here, and then we start to come back down again. I do anticipate that we're going to be coming right down into the lower demand zone. So let's go ahead and just take this and move it over here. We can see that we're probably going to come down towards $16,500. At the moment, it just looks like an ABC, but this could evolve into something more sinister as time progresses. So chances are even this demand zone is not going to hold. Obviously, I'm recording this about 2 hours ahead of time. So this might be... it's actually about an hour ahead of time, to be fair. So this might actually play out slightly differently as the US market opens up. We'll see how they kind of take it. But the expectation here is that we do slightly move down here, just a fraction more. And then we can maybe talk about a bit of a relief bounce of some kind. But essentially, if I zoom out of this, we are still talking about further downside here. We are still targeting out the $13,000 levels, 13,200. But like I said, the support really is being found on 13,700, 13,000. Say 970 specifically. So we are going to be keeping a close eye on all of that. Now, obviously, this is just price action from the price chart. If we take a look at what's going on chain, we can also see that we have a decrease again on inflows and outflows. Still, we see more in the way of outflows than inflows, though. 34,000 coming off the exchanges, and 31,000 going onto the exchanges. When we take a look at the wallet counts, we can still see that retail investors here are basically the wallet counts are increasing, meaning that they are withdrawing from the exchanges and they're self-custodying and not seeing any kind of major shakeout yet of these retail investors. We do see a slight dip with the Dolphins, though. These are 10 Bitcoin or more kind of sized wallets. So interestingly enough, now the most interesting wallet count so far, though, are the sharks. Now, we are 1 day behind on data here, so come tomorrow, this is going to be a very different story. But we can, of course, see a huge increase in the number of shark wallets. This is wallets that have over 100 BTC in them. With that being said, though, I think that these aggressively, or normally are aggressively following the price action. They've deviated away, thinking that maybe the price was going to be going up. Maybe they'll draw in some trend lines, I don't know. Nonetheless, what we do know is that this is potentially, or well, now we've seen the fallout of what's occurred. Chances are that we are going to see these guys also coming out of their position. So I don't think they're going to double down. This is not the first mistake these guys have made. We've seen it a couple of times in the history of this bear market so far, where they decide that they're going to accumulate, thinking that they're going to the moon. Unfortunately, that is not the case. So like I say, sharks, in my opinion, are people who are actively trading BTC, and I think they've made some bad errors here in judgment. And we can also see with the whales are still coming down, slight increasing here, but I do think these are actually going to be causing the next kind of surge we saw this morning. So I expect these wallet counts to go down by tomorrow. Same with the Kraken a little bit here, and do expect them to fluctuate a little bit more. As I always say, though, what I'm expecting to see is basically the accumulation of the shrimp, so the 1 Bitcoin or more wallet size, to eventually get shaken out of the space. In 2018, it happened during this kind of sideways trade here. You can kind of see those wallets coming down. During this sideways trade is where the whales are accumulating. There's always a buyer and there's always a seller. And what I'm waiting for here is I'm waiting for the retail investors to sell their Bitcoin on the cheap to the whale investor. That's what we're waiting to see. The Kraken size wallet is basically just a tool to flood the market with BTC and bring the price crashing down. This is what happened in 2018. They accumulated during the bear market only to flood the market and drag that price down even lower. So I do think that these guys are master manipulators of the space. And what's happening in 2022 for these Krakens? Well, they've been accumulating and we're waiting for that dump on the market. So that hasn't happened yet. Likewise, the whales, they continue to come on out of their positions. Nothing much has changed there. So overall, everything is pretty much on track, as we kind of have been talking about and articulating for months at this point. So just keeping an eye on price action. I'm still expecting further downside. I think the US market could potentially drag this further down. Minimum expectations on the C wave have already been complete, but I do expect further downside and coming into the demand breakdown zone before we can talk about, a bit, maybe a relief rally of some kind. Essentially, I'm expecting this C wave to come down here. It can be 5 waves, so I'm yet to see if this is a wave 1, 2, kind of 3, 4, 5 kind of job, or whether or not what we're actually going to have here is going to be some kind of giant A, B, and C structure bringing us down into these lows. Okay, so it's going to be one of those, keeping a close eye on it, seeing how things go. But for now, that is the best that I have available under Elliott wave theory. So just keeping a close eye on these next moves for BTC when the US market opens and all that wonderful stuff. I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.